Hey guys, thanks for joining up to Play Games. My name is Lance, and today I'm going to teach you how to play Fireball Island: The Curse of Vul-Kar. This is a newer game by Restoration Games. It is a 2 to 4 player game that takes roughly 45 minutes to an hour and a half to play, and is a competitive game, so all the players are competing against each other, and the player that has the most points at the end of the game will be the overall winner. So if you find these videos helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel, as it really does make a big difference, helps me to continue to grow and produce these videos. If you want to stay up to date on all my videos, I was considering that bell so you get notifications anytime I release new content. So let's head to the table and I'll teach you guys how to play. The first set of cards I'm going to look at are the souvenir cards. Each one is going to have a name, is going to list when you can play that souvenir card, and then the effects of it when you play it. And you can have any number of souvenir cards, and you can play any number at any time. And you're going to acquire souvenir cards mostly when getting knocked over. The second set of cards we have are the action cards, and this deck is going to be comprised of regular action cards and cataclysm cards. First off, each card is going to have the name at the top, and then it's also going to list the movements for that card when played, and at the bottom of the card is going to be an effect you can choose to resolve after you're moving. You don't ever have to resolve the effect, but you can choose to. And some of the cards are also going to have icons, which will allow you to rotate Vul-Kar one space, or you can rotate a tree into any orientation. And then with the Cataclysm cards, once they're played, they're going to be placed in the Cataclysm tracker. And if this is the third card, then there's going to be another effect that's going to be resolved, and I'll go over that more later. And the last set of cards we have are the snapshot cards, and there are 3 colors, blue, red, and yellow. Each color is broken down into 2 areas on the map, and each area has 2 cards associated with it. For example, with the Viper Pass, it has 2 cards. And each of these is going to be worth 5 points at the end of the game, as long as you're on the helicopter. And if you go to a location and all those cards are gone, then you do not get a snapshot from that location. And each player can only have 1 of each colored snapshot. So to start setup, go ahead and place out the board in the middle of the table and then put it together. From there, you can grab the 2 sides, and each side is going to be labeled with the helipad side going here and the Vul-Kar side going on the other side. From there, then, we're going to place out Vul-Kar out, and you'll place him facing the helipad. You can also place out the helicopter, and yes, I am saying that right. In the rulebook, it is spelled out hello-copter. So, interesting choice there. From there, let's go ahead and grab the trees and place those out. So the trees are going to go out, and they're going to point towards Vul-Kar. And so each one of those will go in its different spots. We can also go ahead and place out the ladder and the 2 bridges. Go ahead and place out the orange fire marbles in each of the fire spaces on the center piece. You can place the jewel out in its location and place the maw out on the table somewhere and put the lucky penny in it. We can also place out the cataclysm tracker, and you can go ahead and grab the 4 red marbles for that, 1 in each one of the little holes, and then 1 will go into the scar. Also place out the die, and the last thing is to grab the 36 treasure tokens, shuffle them up, and you'll place them out with the treasure side up, so you know exactly which ones are out there. If you are playing with some of the expansions, you may have extra treasure coins. If that's the case, then go ahead and place those in the maw. From there, place out all the snapshots somewhere, and you do not need to shuffle these up. And then go ahead and shuffle up the souvenir and action deck. You'll deal out 1 souvenir to each player and 2 action cards to each player. So let's go through player setup real quick. So each player will choose a color that they want to be, and they'll place that in the helicopter. So I'll set up for a 3-player game using yellow, green, and purple. And each player will also receive their card that is a quick reference to the different scoring for the game in that as well. And then each player, again, will get 1 souvenir card and 2 action cards. From there, choose 1 player to be the starting player, and we're ready to begin the game. Each player's turn consists of 4 steps that are done in order, and I'm going to take you through each one of these steps in detail. So the very first step is, if you are knocked over, you're going to go ahead and stand up. So there's a number of different situations with this. First off, if you're just simply knocked over in a space, you're going to go ahead and stand your figure back up in that space. If your figure is between spaces, then you're going to stand your figure up and choose which space you want to place your figure in. And then there's also some odd spaces your figure can start in. So if your figure starts in a lava space or a waterfall space, then you will move yourself down through the waterfall or lava chute and place your figure at the end of that location. Now, if your figure is off of the board, then you're going to choose a cave that you want to place your figure in and simply place your figure there. You will not roll the die or activate the cave. And the last thing is if you're in some sort of other weird position that puts you not off of the islands, but close to a space such as here, or let's say that we got knocked into the scar or whatever, you're simply going to place your figure in the closest space to where you're at. The second step in a player's turn is to choose one of their 2 action cards and play it. So with our player here, we'll go ahead and play the Lava Blast, and this one is going to allow that player to move 8 spaces. So next, I'm going to take you through all the different things you're going to run into when moving. With movement, you must move the maximum number of spaces that is listed on the action card you've played, unless something else causes you to stop, but you can never choose to move less than your movement card. From there, moving into the helicopter, so at the beginning of the game and at the end of the game, this is considered 1 space, and then once all of the players are out of the helicopter at the beginning of the game, then that is going to be moved off to the side of the board. So with our purple player here, her first point of movement is to move onto the helipad. From there, then she's going to choose which direction she wants to go, and she must continue moving in that direction. You can never backtrack, so if she moves down this pathway, then she cannot continue and move up again during the same action. Tree roots are never going to block your path. As long as there is a space on the other side that you can move legally to, then you will just continue moving and the tree will not stop you. If you start on or land in a cave space, then you're going to roll the cave die, and the number that comes up, you will move to one of those 2 caves as long as it is open. If another survivor is in those caves, then you cannot move there, and then you're just going to end your turn. Once you move to a new cave, then you will continue moving if you have any movement points remaining. Each of the bridges and the ladder are considered unstable spaces, so when a survivor moves onto one of those spaces, they must stop their movement, even if they have additional movement points left. If you move onto or through a space that has a snapshot, you will gain a snapshot of that color, as long as you do not have a snapshot of that color yet, and there are still available cards of that location, as each location only has 2 cards in it. If you start your turn or move through a space that has the little triangles in it, you will gain 1 treasure from the slab, and some slabs will have multiple treasures. In that situation, you will choose which treasure you want to gain and take one of them. Just like any other treasure, the Heart of Vul-Kar, anytime you move onto the space that is right below it with the triangles, you'll gain that gem and add it to your area. And the last thing with movement is other survivors along your path. So when you run into a situation where you are blocked by another survivor, you're simply going to hop over them, and you will not count the space that they are in. Now, if that space has any markings on it, such as a snapshot or a treasure, you will not gain any of those. You will simply continue on, and again, not counting that space. Now, the other thing is if a survivor is on an unstable area and you move over them, you will just move over and continue your movement. You will not be stopped by the unstable area. And last, if a survivor you hop over has the Heart of Vul-Kar, you will steal that from them. Now that I've covered all the different aspects of movement, let's go ahead and finish our turn with our character. So we're going to move 8 spaces. So she's going to move from the helicopter to the helipad. That's 1. Oop. And then she's going to go this way. So 2, 3, 4. And then we'll pick up this treasure, place it face down. 5, 6, 7, 8. And she ends her space in a treasure, so she'll gain that one as well. After she has completed her movements, then she'll move to the bottom of the card, and she can choose to resolve any effects on the bottom of the card. So with this one is to launch an Ember Marble. At this point, there's no point in launching a marble because everybody is still in the helicopter, and so it's not going to do anything, and we don't want to risk knocking over our own character. Which will lead into the second part with the Ember Marbles. When you launch a marble, you cannot flick it. You cannot use the finger-thumb technique. You can push it with your finger or flick it. And you can do this as hard as you want. But if you knock the marble off of the island, you're going to discard 1 treasure to the maw. Now, for each player you knock over, they are going to have to give you one of their treasures. And this can happen either from the marble knocking them over, or just the precarious space that they're on. They could fall over because of a marble being pushed but not being hit by the marble. Either way, that player is still considered knocked over and will give you a treasure. Now, if you knock yourself over, you will take a treasure of your choice again and discard it to the maw. At this point, we're not going to resolve the bottom effect as we do not have to, so we're going to discard this card to the discard pile as our third step, and then we can draw a new card to replace it. The final step in the turn is if we did trigger any of the marbles or anything else, we can go ahead and reset those. We will leave any players that are knocked over staying knocked over, as they will have to stand up during their turn, and then it'll pass to the next player in clockwise order to take their turn. Now that I've taken you through a player's turn, there's a couple additional things I want to cover. So the first thing is the little hand with circle icon. As you can see here on the run card, each one of these is going to allow you to rotate a tree to any direction you want, or will allow you to rotate Vul-Kar one position left or right. And with Vul-Kar, you can only move him one time per turn, no matter how many icons you have. And then the final thing I want to cover are the Cataclysm cards. So with these, you're going to resolve these just like any other card. So this one will allow you to move 6 spaces. And then afterwards, you can rotate one thing, and then you will take all of the fireballs in the scar and drop each one through Vul-Kar. After each one stops, you'll add the next one until you are used up all of the fireballs in the scar. Then you're going to discard this, not to the discard pile, but to the Cataclysm tracker. If this is the third Cataclysm that is placed, then you're going to gather up all the cards from the discard pile and the action cards, and shuffle them up and create a new deck. Then you're going to go ahead and add a fireball from the Cataclysm track to the scar. If this is the fourth fireball that is added, it will trigger one of the endgame conditions. The end of the game is going to be triggered in 2 different ways. If a player enters the helipad and has the 3 different colored snapshots, or if the scar has all 4 red marbles on it at the end of a turn, then the helicopter is going to return and the players may climb aboard. From here, then, you're going to place the helicopter near the helipad, and players may enter the helicopter from the helipad even if they don't have the 3 snapshots, and they do not need to arrive by an exact count, and a player may enter the helicopter on the turn it appears if they have moves left. When entering the helicopter, you're going to choose a token from the maw and put it in front of you. This could be the lucky penny or a treasure token of your choice that is in the maw. Once a player is in the helicopter, they do not leave it for the rest of the game. They cannot be knocked over, and no one can move them or pass them by to steal anything. Other cards may still affect them, and players still play a card on their turn, but only follow the action. The game is going to end when all players are on the helicopter, or all players have had 2 turns. At that point, then we would move into a scoring round. With scoring, as you can see on the chart, each player is going to score all of their points, and the player that has the most will be the overall winner. So let's go ahead and take a look at an example of this with our purple player. So she has the lucky coin, or the lucky penny, so she's going to get 6 points for that. And she has 3 snapshots, 1 of each, so she'll get 5 points for each of those, so that'll put her up to 21. Then she has the treasure, so we'll flip those over and count up each one of those, depending upon how much she has. So the blue, she has 3, so that'll get her 6 points, so that's 27. She has 3 more of the yellow, so that's going to get her 6 more points for 33. And she has 2 of the red, so that's going to get her 3 more points. So that'll leave her with a grand total of 36 points. Each player is going to total up their score, and the player that has the most will be the overall winner. If there is a tie, then it'll be the player that is in the helicopter or has entered the helicopter first. Well, I hope you guys found that video helpful. As always, if you have any questions or comments, leave those in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. If you found this video helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel, as it really does make a big difference and helps me to continue to grow. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my videos and leave me feedback on them. I do really appreciate it, and I try to take into account everything you say to make the best possible videos. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.